Alright, have we adjusted it? We're live? Alright, we're live. Yeah, we're live. Alright, awesome. We're back. Back to the action right now currently here, race fans, from our Facebook to our YouTube end here. I do apologize in advance here for the quick sudden switch and delay here. But unfortunately the Glitchcraft Gremlins were on the attack here on our Facebook, so we're wanting to make sure that it wasn't our end and it was just Facebook. So let's see if that is the case here, if that is the situation at hand. Have to wait it out and see what happens right now, though, with the action still kicking up, though. Brian Dye, number 15 currently, still on pace, still on track here to keep with Paul Ellison. Ellison regaining his lead, though, and retaking his control of the track. Starting to hang down, starting to really take noticeable control of this race and all that it's worth. Right now looking to stay behind that red diamond 25 Paul Ellison, still trying to get up there with him. Michael Dean, Andy Flicky, Will Salamone still after each other here. Jan Van Leer also making a bit of a resurgence up ahead. A lot of tailing and a lot of tail trailing here by all drivers involved. Nobody giving an inch though here, and no one wanting to lay off just yet. Jeff Langston here in the 21 machine going farther and farther back into the field here. Not really sure what went wrong there with the 21, but there is damage there on that 21 camp. Let's see if we can take a look at the PT Missing replay and see what got him sent back here to begin with. That's a lot of positions to have just lost all of a sudden by simply slamming into that wall protection, but we've seen it before where that can easily happen. That could change everything out. So take a look and see where that might have occurred at, where that came from, and get you guys a better idea of like how just of a scope, a level this truck can take, and what this kind of power and speed does for you if you're not too careful on a track like this here. So looks like it happened quite a few laps back, actually, a little bit later on in the race here. Got kind of shifted around here and kind of shift off a bit. The truck had suffered some damage, and that's when everything kind of went to heck for him. You can see where the pass came from, and that's where all the trouble started. Jan Van Leer just taking full control. Once you lose the aerodynamics of that truck and that properties, your race is pretty much in trouble because you really don't have much left to go for, and he knew it too. Not having any troubles on the YouTube end, as I kind of predicted. So again, I really apologize to our Facebook folks, but not much we can do when Facebook's kind of messing with us here. Coming right around Ryan Dye now, taking the lead away from Paul Ellison here. Takes full control of his run and takes full control of his track. We'll take a look at the PT Missing replay and see where that came from and how that started up to be. Ellison did have the lead for just a little while there, but unfortunately, as we say, there is always good and bad about racing. The good is sometimes you can hold that lead forever, and then the bad is sometimes you lose it when you don't want to. Ellison loses it just by getting a little bit looser off in the corners, getting a little bit tight. And you can see right here, they got loose off turn 4. That opened the door for the 15. Dye swings himself on the inside. Here comes the drive off. And as prototypical Dye is known for, when he sees an opening, he'll go for it. But that's not where the story ends. Oh, far from it. Watch this. Ellison comes to the inside here, makes a drive off on the back straightaway, looking for the pass, looking for the ground. Comes back in. No dice, no luck. Giving Dye all the room he needed to continue his race lead. Back on the legs here, the 32 of Andy Flicky now staying right up ahead here of Michael Dean, the drivers with Little Salamone here in the 99 right below him. Salamone trying to keep speeds up and keep him going as much as possible. You can see how it tore up. Some of these trucks are getting already just by how quick it is going on, how quick everything's changing at him. Down below here of the 32, Little Salamone was going for a drive off there, couldn't quite get it to go and couldn't quite get the full clear zone. Sends his way back into the pack a little bit. Corey Rutherford also with some damage on that 50, although I'm not surprised considering he stole the pace car as usual here. I don't know why he keeps thinking that stealing the pace truck is going to be a good idea, but I mean, he seems to think he can tune it up to get some more speed and some more momentum, so I mean, what am I to tell him? It's his call, not mine. Just about 100 laps still to go here left in this race, Texas Motor Speedway. Definitely been a bit wild on the start, but now this is where the endurance part of it comes in, which is how long can you handle yourselves and how long can you deal with the added pressure. These drivers are well aware of that, and they know good and well that they cannot be making too many mistakes, nor can they be giving up too much room here. Pit stops now, plenty going in. Paul Ellison, Brandley Gaines Jr., Michael Dean, Jan Van Leer, Andy Plicky, Ryan Dye, and all of them heading into pit road, or shall I say coming out of pit road. And some of them already went in earlier and now have to resort to their fuel strategy, their pit strategy being put on full term. Ryan Dye trying to get up there with the lap traffic ahead. Jeremy McKinnon, Chad Stearns, as well as Steve Ruman. Those are the ones that hold the race lead in the palm of their hands, but how long can they keep it? Chad Stearns at 05 Air Jordan machine has been quite the driver, quite the character when it comes to his speed and talent here on the show. He does have a race win already popped off on the track and popped off in the system. He's looking to continue that by simply just continuing his drive off and keeping the speed at high bay and high risk. Well, the guy that everybody has been talking about and that's been keeping a close eye on when it comes to trying to finally knock off that curse and get something out of the hat, that is, of course, the 12 of Jeremy McKinnon. He's been so close so many times, and he has felt the frustrations every single time he's coming out here. It feels like he has been owed one multitude of times, and it looks like today this strategy seems to be kind of go into pit stop territory when he absolutely must and really use what he needs at certain points. He did qualify in fourth. He's currently in the first spot. He's up 3 spots, looking to try to hang on. How about this now? Currently, as they try to get their way through lap traffic right now, John K. the 2 and Ryan Dye, I should say, back at it here as Paul Ellison, I was going to say, is coming fourth to get to both of them. Still has a ways to go though, as they have to work their way through a wide, saluting off turn 1 with McKinnon. That was a good 3 wide salute there by both guys here, getting clear and cut through, but it is Dye who actually makes a good drive off where Kay did not. Kay looked like he slowed down just a little bit more, and Dye now taking full control once again. You see if the Slim Jim 15 can continue that run, continue that march and charge. The Dina driver is Michael Dean currently. We've seen him many times before here on the show. Really put on a battle and put on a run that only he knows how to do, and I think he's looking to continue to do that today. But again, with so much at stake and so much on the line here as well, I mean, I got a feeling that he was coming in here a little bit nervous or a little bit more on the edge side, thinking if he could get the truck in the right time and the right place for pit stops, maybe he'd be able to outrun it here. on this very tough to claim and very tough to tame Texas Speedway track. They say everything's bigger in Texas. Well, the prize money is certainly bigger, and the wins are certainly bigger here if you can get the job done. The 00 Steve Ruman right now currently staying up ahead here. Kyle Zittel staying in the second spot. Langston, after his little troubles earlier on, staying out of pit road for a time or two, but has not entered into the fold yet either, and neither has Josh Maxwell in the 8th. All guys currently look like they may be going for a very, very long distance pit strategy here, which could either make or break their race, depending on how careful or how smartly executed this can be. You can see Maxwell Susie with the outside too. You can just see how quick things kind of turned around on him here. Dying K just kind of passing him by. That's the problem though with that kind of move on the 3 and 4. You get stuck on that outside with anything that involves fenders or anything like this here. Good luck trying to get a run off anything here. The way the banking and the curving is, the way the straights are, you need everything you can get off of those turns and off of those corners, because the banking just will not drive in the way you want it to, nor will it give you much room for opportunity, making it so much more difficult to work around. However, there is a little bit of news I have not talked about here on Team Series TV, nor have I talked about other than maybe my Twitter account, which is actually, there is a little bit of news coming out tomorrow actually at 10 a.m. Central about Texas Motor Speedway. There's a big announcement, and if rumors are to be heard, the way they're saying is there will be a reconfiguration to this track. That's right, the track that a lot of people have been clamoring for on reconfiguration might actually get that. I'm not saying that it is going to for sure happen. We just know that Texas Motor Speedway and the officials have said they have a big announcement coming tomorrow at 10 a.m. Central. So if you guys are up at the time and can check it out for me, feel free, because I'll be somewhere else in this case. Won't be able to see it till really later on, so they'll definitely very curious to know what goes on and what will be done with this track. I know a lot of fans and drivers themselves have said before their disdain for this track as well as coming to dislike, but I think at the end of the day, with a race like this in endurance, you know what you're getting out of it, you know what to expect. Steve Ruman going into pit road at last now stayed out to lap 50, so looks like he's going to try to go for a 3 pit stop routine where some are having to go 4 or 5 at the time. Very unique situation, a very unique breed of driving style. It's either you go hard and you go fast, or you have to get kind of thrown back in here and then literally have to find a way to maneuver around other people. So hard driving here by the guys, and they are not making it easy for anybody. Brian Mitchell in the 78 losing spots and ground as guys continue to march through the charge. I want to know down in the comment section as well, what do you guys think? Before we even get to tomorrow's little announcement, what do you think is the fate of Texas Motor Speedway? Because there's rumors they said they'll configure it into a super speedway track, or there's rumors they may actually go a short track, or maybe they might just actually figure out a way to make the track somewhat better. Who's to say? You guys let me know down in the comment section below. What do you think is going to happen to this place? Right now, starting to get a little bit off their rocker, off their boats here. Looks like they may be trying to find the right time and the right scenario to really put up with this track. Not a lot of breathing room, not a lot of room for error. There is room for growth here on this track, but again, there is not much in the way of making a mistake or really giving up time here to these guys. And these drivers are well aware of that as they continue to move through and keep on the ledge and keep on speed. No caution so far. We're 1/3 of the way done with this race. and die. I remember earlier on they were going back and forth with one another here, really making their drive and their fight just a little bit more interesting here, going for that race lead. But now, after moving through lap traffic between Kyle Busick and Kyle Zittel, Kyle's here have been kind of sent back a little bit off the pace and a little bit off the drive. You see how it's hurting Kubik, making in those turns and in those corners. He is pushing this thing to some good limits. We're also catching a good draft off of that too of John Kay. And you know, that's one thing I think Kay probably is hoping for a little bit with Dive, but I don't think he was expecting to hear from guys like Dumick here to go right up to him there and make it a little bit harder for him. Speaking of making it harder for him here, talk about how hard it is to pass. Well, Jan Van Leer just showed you how hard it is. He had to literally throw the dive bomb corner at the 26th bear breeding. Nowhere to go and no room for error there. Had to mentally check that thing out and stay out of trouble, and he knew it very much so. You gotta listen to this too. Just listen to how that throttle rhythm is in turn number 1 versus how it'll then be in turn number 3 and 4. 1 and 2, you hear he's off pace, off tempo, a lot harder. This one, you can hear he's still in the throttle. Only a slight burp on the throttle here just to get the truck to take a set is all he did, and that's pretty much what helps get everything put into proper working order, into proper positions for the speed here that he's carrying through. The Dean drivers himself in the 73 now. Michael Dean up top side, making a drive off, and now he's trying to prove his worth. Andy Plicky 13 spots up. Jan Van Leer 8 spots. Paul Sargent 8 spots as well. Those are your front runners for the Hard Charger Award today. Paul Sargent, by the way, the 489 camp here, farther back in the field than I think maybe he was expecting to be. We have seen some speed out of him on the plate tracks, and we have seen him be able to work a little bit of these 1.5 miles, but right now the way this is looking like if you can't carry your speed and continue on throughout the rest of the race, it's going to be very, very tricky to get the better of the other drivers. Speaking of continued on here, John Kay starting to have a little bit of problems here as the 2 is getting a little bit looser off of turn 2, and I guarantee if he's getting loose off 2, you know he'll get loose off of 4 a little bit. Paul Ellison in the number 55 camp is coming right back for him here. Although Ellison, the way he drove in the 3 and 4, I'm presuming he'll lose a little bit of time for that. No, I guess not. Drove it so far wide up there, I'm surprised actually he held line, set back to the bottom. Kay struggling here, and Ellison's coming right back for him. You can just see the lap times changing as we go. John Kay continuing to move up the chain here. The Dairy Queen 2 going to try and maybe get there to die, but I don't think he's going to get him. Lap time show the lap 61 is another 2/10 of a second gain for Ellison. Speaking of gain here, talk about gaining some ground up. Steve Broomman back in the saddle and firing on all cylinders. Fresher tires will do that for you here at Texas. But again, now you have to figure out a way to maneuver through traffic. Jan Van Leer in the Wendy's 5, Silverado throwing up high side. The Dean drivers here losing a lot of ground at time and almost slamming into the wall protection. It actually looks like he might have a slight bit of damage on that right side. He does. There's a slight bit of damage on the right side. I don't think that was from the last go around there, but he has scraped the wall up and he has left a little bit of a bruise on the old 73. Definitely not what he wanted to see, and definitely not what he wanted to have happen there. He knows he cannot suffer any more damage, or he can't suffer any more problems in this kind of level, this kind of field here. Side by side with the 26 goes the double O. Steve Ruman here moving the chains up ahead again, not giving an inch. Well, they said there's no limits in racing. Well, there is certainly no limits here. Now, what these guys can do. So far, too, been a bit of an interesting race. Seen some good passes, some pretty good battles here for what it's worth, I'm pretty impressed right now with these guys. Good stuff. Ellison just now finally getting around Kyle Duke making the 18. This just goes to show you how difficult it is to even try to get around traffic sometimes and then having to figure out how to get back around to the other drivers. That's why I ended up slowing him down so badly and costing him a lot of time here. Kyle Zettel here making some ground up on the 18 of Dubik now. This is your battle for the 17th spot. Zettel taking full control even though they're both a lap down. Doesn't seem to bother him too much. If anything, it just makes it more interesting for him to have to come back fourth to the field. Ellison, the 55, up top. 53 is Zettel, mixing it up a little bit. Every driver for themselves here. And Zettel getting the 53 right up ahead of that 55, but now will he be able to get the marquee 53 right up to the 2 of the Dairy Queen's Ford F-150s, John Kay. And Ryan Dye too, maybe not forget the Slim Jim 15. Is absolutely tearing up out here. Remember, he's had multiple runner-up finishes just in this season alone. He said point blank to me earlier today, I've had enough of it, and I'm hoping that today my luck can go strong and my drive can be as overwhelming as I can to be at these guys. He really wants to prove he can lay it down, and he can lay it down well. Back in the pack right now, David Fay here in the 88. Looks like he's going to make a little bit of a fight off here with Jan Van Leer as Michael Dean continues to park it right behind him. We are nearly halfway done with this race so far. Kind of surprising here, considering literally it's an endurance race. But for 375 miles, or excuse me, not 375 miles to the distance, but it's 375 kilometers to the distance. You know, that's pretty impressive, all things considered. John Van Leer on the Wendy's 5 up on that high bank side. That's the no groove zone, as we like to say. Literally, I always like to say that with that bottom lane there, that is pretty much like the only area you can even get any kind of extra traction in every kind of run. Problem is with those bumps off of 4, especially, you gotta really kind of keep away from getting too crazy and getting it near that front wall protection. Starting to slowly kind of revert their way back around. Pascal Simard Pace in 76 next on the hit list for Ryan Dye and Don Kay here to get a lap down. You see Dye is coming up quick and coming up fast. Simard definitely can't be too eagerly patient, I would say, of those other guys as well as Dye. Looking at the strategies though right now, these guys are putting up here. Right now Dye, Kay, Ellison, they went in about 39 or 40. McKinnon, though, he went in lap 46, and Chad Stearns went in lap 46, so very much a longer space strategy. It's a bit of an interesting little position to put into, but Kyle's Italy even going in lap 50 as hits pit stop in, and that put him a lap down in this case, so I mean, it's who's to say who can last the longest, who can keep the most patience, but I'm thinking right now here, the winning strategy is either what McKinnon is doing, or it's in Stearns as well, or it's going to be what Dye and Kay are doing, which is just using their speed and using their power to their advantage. And hopefully last out long enough to be able to keep the race lead intact and keep this one on their favorable end. The sun is starting to fade here at Texas Speedway. The lights will be coming up here soon. Well, speaking of trouble here with the lights, looks like the lights just went out on the 88 truck there because that thing went into the grassy plains and opened up its own lawn care service. Take a look at the PT Minutes replay to find out more. Remember what I said earlier about those bumps off 4 and how loose it gets? Well, there's your answer right there. And the 88 slamming into that wall, gets into the grass, tears up a piece of the track there while he's at it. Thankfully does come back on the track nice and smoothly. Good recovery. Ryan Dye starting to get further and further ahead of the speed of number 2's John Kay. As Paul Ellison now finally at long last has now made a resurgence and a comeback, if you will, up to the number 2. Driver out of Alexandria, Alabama right now, looking to try and maybe make a move up on the Ford camps here. The Tundras have been relatively consistent in their control and their speeds. A little bit maybe more so than I would say of the Ford camps. Fords has of late have not been really where they need to be or where they should have been for victory lane wise, but Dye has for sure held on to the illustrious title of putting it at least in the podium for the Fords, because he has been constantly in that second place spot, and he's looking to try to change that today. Getting word as well from our fans on the YouTube side as well that we are not having any issues compared to what we were on Facebook. So again, I believe it was, like we said earlier, Facebook giving us the trouble. So I don't know how that will result for the next couple broadcasts. We'll have to see, but thankfully we'll have a little bit of time away from the service here just to kind of get that squared away. So hopefully we'll get that fixed up and get it all taken care of for you guys. But thank you so much for everybody that tuned on in the show and has been tuning on in here with our racing action and coverage. If you do like what you see and also like our live coverage, then feel free to subscribe here on P3's TV. Show us that you want to have more of it and you want to see more action of it. We'd love to kind of branch out from Facebook, get onto the YouTube side. So we appreciate your support and thank you all so much for your support, for your drive and surviving today. Ryan Dye has now entered in pit road once again here. Lap 78 for him. John Kay and Paul Ellison back at it, while Ellison takes the race lead away once more. So really, it's been 3 or 4 drivers kind of crisscrossing and applesaucing their way around here, making their moves and making their fight for potential service here. But it is now John Kay who ends up in pit road. Jeremy McKinnon looking to try to gain back up on the 55 speed here. And remember, McKinnon right now, he's on a very unique strategy. He's trying to get this thing to last out as long as possible and short pit on that last pit stop, if at all possible, so he can gain the most speed and most ground and maybe not use up so much of his tires to just get the fuel he needs. I think that's really kind of what he's up to, really what he's kind of thinking may work. In some regards it would work, and in some other ways it would definitely not. It's hard to really say who would have the advantage and who has the better showman area there. Ellison currently is holding up the lead by about 5.5 seconds, but here is the way our lap timer converting is going on. This is how we're seeing the live timing. Lap 77 to lap 80 has been a nothing but green and C for McKinnon. Here is the next time, lap 81. See if Ellison gave him some time. He did not, actually lost a lot of ground there, almost 0.3 of a second, so all that momentum built up just got thrown right out the window there. But Ellison does have some company he's got to deal with here. He gets around the gate and Josh Maxwell. And Maxwell, remember earlier on, got into that wall protection and kind of hurt up the truck and kind of hurt up the speeds. Now has to figure out how to get back into the playing field and back into the ground clearance here. Michael Dean, the Dean driver through the 73, currently moving right back up in the pace and back into the fight zone. Every driver for themselves. Nobody giving an inch here at it so far. Now, Jan Van Leer, Michael Dean, Will Salamone have all entered into pit road here. We'll see how their stops go. Looks like all 4 tires for Salamone. Jan Van Leer with some damage on that 5. We'll see if he gets it cleared up. If I was him, I'd probably do as much damage control as I can on that 5 and get that thing fixed up as much as possible. He knows, though, that could be a bit of a hassle, could be a bit of trouble here. And he's just going to go ahead and go with what he's got, so it's going to be interesting to see how he plays out with this, but there is some damage there on the big 5. Speaking of a 5, the 0-5 here, Chad Stearns moving in the 9th slot. He's been hanging on that top 10 all day long. Stearns actually very consistent here on the show. He's always been a top 10 level playing field driver, and he's also been one of those guys that has a race win to his name. Got that back at Richmond Raceway, I believe, is where he pulled that one off. Was able to keep all the power and all the momentum on his side that day, and really since then has been consistently in the top half rankings of the top 10 and above. And I think really that just boils down to his overall pace and control he can bring to the table. He's a very smooth individual when it comes to that, and he's very well rounded and moving from one track to the other. Kyle Dumick, Chad Stearns here. You can see the separation now for both guys. Dumick was already entering into turn number 3. Stearns was coming off with 2 there. So there's still some room, but he's getting a lot of ground on Dumick as he now deals with Paul Sargent in the 49 right up on his outside. Oh, by the way, fastest lap time here just said was a 3.66. That is the fastest of the day in total. That was done by Will Salamone there in the 99. So we'll have to see just how much more these guys tear up. Again, a lot of drivers aren't going too crazy or going too hard. They're really trying to watch more of their tempo and their pacing here. That's why you see the lap times not very fast, not very speedy. You know, what you would think, consider how hard they can drive them. Again, endurance races, it's not a matter of having speed, it's a matter of being able to survive with speed. That's what we've always said. Oh, and that's what we're worried about. Trouble off of turn 2, and now we've got problems. Kyle Dumick unfortunately meets his doom and gets sent back and around here. A huge wreck just ensued, and now Ellison maybe feeling like a bit of a lucky dog right now after that break he just caught. That was an absolutely wild, wild wreck here. Watch the P2 replay. Dumick is loose here. You can see the 32 of Andy Plicki. He's on the bottom and gets shifted straight out by the 78. Oh my goodness. 78 taken around, and the 12 of Jeremy McKinnon yet again just can't catch a break here. And gets sent back into the shadow realm, unfortunately, for his trouble. Look. Brian Mitchell, man, my word, he took a wild, wild ride here. He got into him, and then he goes Dunaway here, and just goes flying in the air. Pretty much knew his race was kind of cooked after that. McKinnon, though, man, what an absolute heartbreaker for this guy. He just cannot catch a break. One more look at it. Here's the 3 wide. Plicki drives hard up, and you know, again, Plicki probably didn't even know where he was at fully with a spotter. And McKinnon was just kind of left out in the dry end. And then Michael Dean, the Dean driver, was unfortunately thrown in there too. And Eric Breeding even slammed in. 5 trucks involved, and absolutely heartbreaking for everybody involved. That was not something you would expect from the Venom Truck Series guys. And that is certainly something that's going to come back to haunt a lot of them for quite some time here. Wow. And to just think, we went that full amount of laps, went that full amount of distance here, and now everything that you thought your strategies were cooking up with or getting well with, now you gotta literally rethink them. Now it's not possible in this way to get one more pit without having to go one more pit stop. So I'll guarantee you, some drivers going for pit road, they're going to have to then settle up for that final pit stop later. This is going to be a very tall order for these guys. The only ones right now in the lead lap at the moment are Chad Stearns in the 05, the 15, Ryan Dye, Steve Ruman in the 00, the 55, Paul Ellison, and your race leader now all of a sudden, John Kay in the number 2. Got a very big rake off pit road, and now he's looking to take full control of it. As a lot of guys now will have to just enter into pit road and hope for some help, hope for a break here. Looks like Paul Sargent is going to try to stay out as long as he can to get that lap back. Looks like Kay and Stearns are going to go in. Vroman and Dye, Ellison as well, stay out. So they went in lap 89 here, so we'll see how things fare right now. This is going to be a very interesting spot here to be put into. Field now has reset and put themselves back in place. The lights are fading in the sun. The distance is starting to travel off. Right now, 6 drivers on the lead lap. Everybody else, well, you best hope you can find a way to get back on the lead lap at this point. There's a lot of guys currently trying to find a little bit of help and trying to find a little bit of a break here. Now set to get back at it here. We're going to see everyone fire them off into the distance. We are still not done with this race yet. We still got quite a few laps remaining. We've gone a pretty good distance though, with some hard racing in between and just some horrible luck for those involved. But now it's time to regroup and recount and resend yourself in. Green flag back on out. Hotter than hell 375 continues on. Paul Ellison, the 55 right now, moving up ahead of the chains. Ryan Dye in the 15, trying to stay right with it. Kicking it up a few notches here with John Kay as Chad Stearns now maneuvers his way through traffic. He's going to try to get the best of these guys. He's trying to find some leg up on these folks. Roman getting around Kay now, moving chains ahead, but it is now the battle up of the front of the leader pack. Ellison and Dye will renew their little battle they had for about 20 or 30 laps earlier in the race. And look at this, Kay now throwing it right back at Roman, doesn't give him an inch and does not lay off. He sees the no limits now and he's trying to push some limits on that 00. really make things more his style, more his way. Chad Stearns in the 5 here, moving up the fight to the below as well. And at the moment here, Paul Sargent is the hard charger with 14 spots up out of his entire field. And by the way, he's a lap down still, so to say this race kind of got flipped on its head, maybe a bit of an understatement here. But when they packed them back up together, that's when literally everything got changed around, and that really made drivers really have to question where they were going to start making their moves. That predictable nature of these cautions really can make the biggest difference, in my opinion. That's what you cannot seem to figure out or cannot seem to expect here on the show. The two, John Kay and the Dairy Queen, Ford F-150 right now, staying up behind here. Roman, he was getting a good run there for a minute, but lost it again. Ellison and Dye now, rear scratches. Kind of wane and wear it a little bit. Ellison already feels like he's under pressure here. He's trying to get that 15 to back off by getting off the draft line on the back straightaway. You'll see a lot of that here on that back stretch, especially because that's where most drivers like to go ahead and flip everything on their end. "55 laps remain. We have now hit the 100-lap marker, and these guys are absolutely killing each other's tires over and killing these trucks for all their worth. I don't think they really care about the strategy anymore. I think this now just turned into endurance of who can outrace the other. That's what we like to see here, and I think that's what the fans are just kind of getting a bit of a grasp from. A little bit of a slowdown period to that huge wreck, when all of a sudden now things get flipped and changed around, and now you got this going on in an absolutely stacked lineup of drivers going back and forth at it for all they've got. Yeah, Stearns there only broke the throttle for a little bit before he just kind of ran it right back up. He is ramping that 305's Air Jordan's schemed up machine as much as he can. Trying to find any little angle, any little area you can on that double O. Kyle Dimmick entering back into pit lane here. Looks like his day has pretty much come to an end after that huge wreck earlier. I'm really not surprised. Couldn't quite get back up and running the way he was hoping for, and it really cost him in a sad way. Jeff Langston also kind of find himself in that same scenario. Got into the wall earlier, lost time, and then he got pushed back further into the field. Just never got it snickered out. John Van Leer here in the 5, I gotta believe, probably thinking to himself, how the heck did I end up on the receiving end of this? Eric Ring in the comments has joined us on YouTube. He's saying, well, that's my luck. Eric, I'm sorry to say that happened to you, man. That was a tough break there for you and your crew. We appreciate you coming on board here, at least giving it your heart and soul. Well earned on that, so. But yeah, I think even you guys can tell on the fan side here as well, just how much dishevelness that really does to a driver. Makes him really lose out on that overall control and confidence that you need to really race these things and race at the highest level and this highest priority. It's extremely difficult to get back to. You've really got to push yourself to the absolute fullest just to even find it. Right now, picking it up, Corey Rutherford here right behind. 49 Paul Sargent and the 53 Kyle Zittel. Zittel in that marquee number 53 here, Tundra, trying to keep the Ford and Chevy somewhat in line, but it is the Ford, a Sergeant, that is able to mix and match them up a little bit. And now Rutherford looking to get there to Sergeant. Eric, thank you, sir. Rutherford now with a Ryan and a chance here to start taking some power and speed away here from Sergeant, but has not taken the Sergeant and arms down just yet. No siree. He has continuously keeping the better of him and continuing to make him work just a little bit harder. Knows he needs to as well. That's kind of a big deal here. That's a big spotting point for them. Eric saying the track was getting a little bit more grip as the sun goes down. That usually does kind of happen though. I resume once the sun starts to fade off, then you start to see the lights dimmer off. The track starts to cool down, which then in turn gives you a little bit more grip and a little bit more power. Less temperature and heat allows you for more grip, doesn't it, Eric? While he currently writes that comment up here, we're currently still watching up as Ellison and Dyke battle it out here. Ellison has pretty much led about 1/4 this race. Dye has led about 3/8 of this race, I'll say. Not a full half, but he has had a pretty good run in his own right. He's kept himself right in that mix, but Ellison still looking to knock another one off the list, looking to knock another one off this track. Been here before, and he's looking to try to get it done now. Pit stops now being made again here. Andy Plicky entering into pit road. Paul Sargent keeping the Sergeant at arms and keeping himself under control. Corey Rutherford still weighing down his options, still trying to figure out what's the best way to go, where's the best route to really take him on at. Hasn't found it yet. Jan Van Leer here again, farther down the ladder, unfortunately, just due to that pit stop that he had to make, as well as the laps he lost due to the wreck that they had gone through earlier. And even John Kay now, actually, he's making a bit of a comeback here in the Dairy Queen number 2. Here he comes back into the fight. Looks like he snapped into a Slim Jim. Why is that? He made a blizzard out of it because he is starting to freeze up the speed and ice the competition. It is the 2 of John Kay now with a great surge back and a great surge into this one. Just a minute ago, he was really about 4/10 of a second back. Now he's literally flopped it around. He's making a serious effort and a serious drive off to get back at it. Look at this. Right here, John Kay, you can see he lost a lot of time here. It's just on those last 4 laps alone. That is a much big and needed gain. Kay knew it, and he's making it work for it. Eric Brink saying Corey and Pascal having a great run. Let's go, guys. Yeah, they have had a good run today, and it seems like they're going to continue that up. Pascal is about 2 1/3 second back here of Corey Rutherford, while meanwhile Rutherford is still in that top 10 bracket with a nice spot holding up. If he can keep his drive going, keep himself out of trouble, I think really he'll be A-okay. Got Jan Van Leer in the 5 right now to deal with though, and he is currently not making it easy for him to pass, as we've said probably about 1,000 times already on the show. Trying to pass here at Texas Speedway is easier said than done. Right off the loops here, Ryan Dye right behind John Kay, the number 2 here, the Dairy Queen machine, keeping his distance, keeping his control, but it is now Dye who feels the power and the speed of Kay. Kay has made his move and made his drive off. And as that sun starts to fade down more and we get into the night skies, that makes you kind of wonder yourself, is there more grip and is there more speed and endurance being put out? Speaking of which, give credit where credit's due to iRacing guys, man. They absolutely put on a heck of a job just getting the weather and dynamics to change out. Remember earlier on, you saw that orange fade, the orange sun. Look at how it is now. Sky has actually lifted up. It really looks like the actual sunset as we kind of put down on the track, and the skies are starting to get darker and darker. As soon as that night sky rolls in, the lights here flicker on at Texas Speedway, you'll see a lot more beauty in nature coming out. Andy Blicky though has that closed this race off today. Looks like the 32 is done. I think he's unfortunately just kind of getting a little bit too out of it here to really continue out with this race, and I don't blame him. There definitely is still a lot of issues he's been fighting with, and a lot more problems he's probably going to get more of is after that little sick hiccup he had off of turn 2. Who's to say how that will go for him and how they will handle with him, but I think they'll probably have a decent little chat down in the trailers later. Coming right up now, Ellison, the 55, got company coming. John K has now moved the train and moved the speeds up to him here. Ellison dealing with the 2-speed, and K is not giving up much ground, but Ellison seems like he might have a slight advantage here. It looks like he might be keeping the truck just a little bit tighter than K is. K seemed like he was kind of forcing it earlier. And that seems to now becoming a factor. Ryan Guy right behind him. He's noticing the trend as well. Wait a minute, trouble down there for Steve Ruhlman here. There is trouble. The 00 has crashed out. Yellow is out. Oh no. Couldn't get it into pit road in time. And now this just got heated up even more so. What has happened to the 00 though? Well, we'll have to find out here. It's time to take a look at the Pete Simmons replay. It looked like old Stearns might have caught up to him here. Came off around here and he was going for pit road. And oh! Oh my word. I almost guarantee you that was not what he had expected at all. He was just going into pit road. He was going to make a good pit stop, he thought, and then literally he just punched it in at the wrong time there. Talk about a hard hit there. He had no idea that was even going to happen, or that was even going to go down like that. Man. Just flip-flopping this entire race, and everything just getting cut on its head and thrown over on the shoulders and on its cages. No driver is safe. Let's see how this goes down at pit road now. Coming out of pit road, it's Ellison. Looks like Dye and K. Yep, we'll take that. And then Stearns will move in the 4th slot. Salamone, though, is going to stay out of pit road. So that is an interesting spot to be put into. So field now having to come back to life, coming back to the track here. We'll see how this does up for them. Sounds like we might have a little bit of company here. Eric, if you want, feel free to, buddy. Here we get a little insight and info on how he was feeling and what was going on down there. Gotta believe a lot of these guys right now are probably feeling the pain, feeling the verge here, feeling everything on their track. Eric, if you are coming in, bud, be sure to join us sooner rather than later, man. Oh, there he is. Well, we got him. Eric, you got a copy, sir?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
All right, welcome, sir. Looks like earlier on, unfortunately, got yourself kind of stuck into that little crash there off of turn number 2. I mean, what happened down there with you and the crew, bud?
Well, I got a little bit of trouble in the pit stop before that. I got loose coming in and kind of hit the wall, and I must have hit the cone and got a penalty, so I shouldn't have been back there to begin with. But that's just racing. They got crossed up in front of me and couldn't see in the smoke, and I think I hit Michael Dean there coming off the wall, but that's racing. Looks like we got ourselves a really good matchup coming here the last 30 laps or so, though.
Yeah, we got a pretty good battle coming up with 30 laps remaining here. We've seen the pit strategy, we've seen tire strategy as well being used up, but it seems like the speed has been without a doubt the 3 guys right now, Ellison, Dye, and Kay, but we've seen a little bit of life from Stearns here, and now Salmoni back on the lead lap as well. This should be a great finale here with 5 guys that really could absolutely flip this whole race into its own here.
Well, that's right. You got my 2 teammates up there, Ryan and John. They're going to charge hard, and Paul, looks like he's been in pretty much control of the race. He really knows this track, and I really give a shout out to Pascal and those guys. They're running a good race too.
Certainly are indeed. I believe you said Pascal and Corey Rutherford, they were in the top 10, top brackets here. Let's see if maybe they can get this finished out and cleared away. What do you got picked up for these final drivers up ahead? Who do you think is going to take this one home?
Well, I got to have my money on my teammates, but if I have to go with anybody else, I think Paul's going to pull this one out. John may have something for him. Be interesting to watch of.
It will be indeed. Let's get back to it. Green flag's out once more. Let's see how this finishes out. Fielding him down on the edge here, track on the position here, side by side off corner 2. It is John Kay and Chad Stearns back and forth one another as Stearns gets a good drive off of the turn and makes a good drive on the backstretch to 3 and 4. Just needs to stay in the throttle. He'll keep his momentum up ahead of Kay. Stearns right now getting the momentum back put his way, and it looks like he's starting to maybe find that speed he had back at Richmond when he took that one home, but he is now watching out as a battle ensues for the lead. And Eric right now.
Sorry about that. Ryan got a good launch there coming off of 2.
Got a good launch off of turn 2 there. I was just about to say there, he actually looked like he was looking for Ellison to make that mistake and make that little mental error there, giving him the room and giving him some time to open up. You saw Ellison earlier on kind of squeaking his way on the back straightaway, trying to get him off that draft, and it looks like now he's paying the price for it.
Ryan better watch out. He's going to use up his tires. He'll burn them up, and Ellison will get him back.
When you say burning his tires up, is it kind of hurt a little bit more to run on that bottom lane where he's at the moment, or how much is it because of he's turning in?
I think he's going to be abusing his right side tires by doing that. Now, I may not be the one to ask, but it seems to me like the longer you run down there, the more you're going to use. It might catch back up with him in a few laps.
Well, he's been a runner before, and now he's already getting put back to good use. Ellison giving him a little bit of a taste of his own mess, and the crisscross applesauce off of 2, and flip him around they go, and 3 and 4. Ellison Now to the bottom. He takes full control of the big Slim Jim 15. Michael Torres on our comment section still rooting on for Mr. John K. Here at K ain't too far behind actually. He's actually right behind the field as he's now back up there with K and Dive. This is now a 3-truck battle for the lead, and how hard is it just even pass around here for Green? Because I got a feeling these 3 guys are probably looking to have to get a little bit more than just a couple of inches around one another.
Old JK's just sitting there. JK's just watching them and waiting for them to make a mistake and stick her right up there in the lead, I think.
It's going to be a very difficult little task, though, because again, you can see with even the night lights starting to finally fade off, and we are starting to get into the night skies. Ellison and Dye have not let off one another this entire race, and if I am counting my chickens right here, I would say on the laps, and I think actually both guys are at a stable enough pace and fuel limit to where they can finish this race out under green. That's just a matter of who can get the better of the other here on the tires and the run.
Yeah, you got 25 laps. I think they're good on tires and fuel. I don't know. They may even be out of tires at this point.
Yeah, I mean, how many tires would they be able to get in this case? I believe they only get about 1 or 2, isn't it?
You get 4 sets.
4 sets. We had 4 sets here today in an endurance race like that. I would presume every time you go into pit road, if you didn't take those tires, you were going to be left high and dry, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think that was some of the strategy coming in is do we make a 3-stop or a 2-stop? 2-stop is going to stretch it on the fuel, but I think it could have been done. But you're going to lose so much time on old tires that the new tires is going to eat you up. And but if you run that strategy, you might have a set for a late race caution to really charge the field. So it's either or on that.
Well, we did see earlier on some guys were going for that. I know one of them specifically was, of course, Ruben in the double O. He was going for that strategy and it seemed like trying to go for more of a 3-stop pit strategy, but unfortunately it didn't quite go the way he was hoping for and ended up costing him a little bit more. Or I should say 2-stop pit strategy where everyone else was more 3 or 4.
Yeah, I've tried that strategy, take less stops, and it usually ends up biting me. I never can get it to work out.
Yeah, it seems like it did bite him, unfortunately, today, as he's currently still a lap down, and also he's, well, a couple laps down, and also lost a lot of ground on the rest of the field. A very tough break there for the big double O, as John K right now continues to go after Ellison and Dye. And Dye, again, just does not give an inch on that bottom, but Ellison had his number earlier when he had that long haul, that long drive, but after that final restart, it seems like everybody kind of got flipped around here and kind of taken for a bit of a head-scratching move here too.
I kind of got to believe Ellison's just kind of holding his own here. He's not pushing the issue too much. He's going to save his stuff for a late race charge here.
Well, we did see earlier Kay was able to do the exact same thing and just kind of go full bore when he needed to full send it. If you are correct there, then this would be a very tall order for the 15 to have to try to defend off of. But also, we have kind of forgotten, we got Chad Stearns and Will Salamoni, who we're on board here with him in that 99 Go Fish Machine. They're both in a very unique situation here. They both have a good speed and a good amount of grip that they're still using up here. But, I mean, tire-wise, I don't know how much affected they have become, because it seems like they are starting to fade off a little more as they go with it.
Yeah, there is a lot of tire management in this race. That first stint, I did make my tires mad, and it surely showed there at the end of it. So you kind of got to manage your stuff there.
Manage your stuff, time your paces, and hit your spots just right. That's exactly what we're getting. 20 laps remaining here, Eric. Are you still kind of confident in Ellison, or do you think maybe you might have to change it?
He's going to make a charge, and I still got a pull from my RNS team owner there, but I think Ellison's going to make a charge.
I think Ryan Dye will be able to hold him off here. He's been second place, as he said, quite a few times, and he's been getting tired of it going through that same scenario, same ordeal. So, if anything, I think he's living up to that truck's reputation, and he's bit into a Slim Jim, and he is feeling the energy come alive within his system and in his body here. Jan Van Litter here, a couple laps down, working it right now with the 49, Paul Sargent, as they continue to keep doing the laps here there, Eric.
Paul's making the move to the inside.
He certainly is indeed. Went for the run there on the bottom, couldn't quite get it to clear. Guy now on the defensive. He's going to try to block him. Where all that issue I said earlier on that kind of comes with this track and how you have to aerodynamically just maneuver around. Can you find the right place and the right time to strike? He had a chance there in turn 2, but he ended up missing his calculations just by a little bit. Seems like he's going to try to go for it again here in a couple laps.
May have just been testing the waters there a little bit to see what he did have. He's definitely got a plan, I'm sure.
Well, his plan seems to be coming into fruition because even Dye, look at this, come off turn 4. And you can see he is overpowering that 15. The 55 is starting to make the 15 get loose, and he knows he's in trouble here.
Could we be seeing a little bit of tire wear where Ryan was running on the bottom there for those 3 or 4 laps? Maybe Paul catching up with him a little bit here? Or?
I would presume the right front at this point would be pretty tore up considering how hard Heath had to drive it off on that bottom. Remember, you have to stay in the throttle quite much there with turn 1 and 2 especially. 3 and 4, you have to actually get a little bit more of a consistent in the pace and the control of it, just to make sure you don't lose any ground, lose any time. It's not a full throttle send though, it's more or less you just kind of burp it and then just kind of let it go from there. But it's still in turn, if you're having to go that kind of speed, that kind of route, considering how loose it is in turn 1 and 2, you're still having to steer this thing in quite a lot, and that in turn makes it a lot more difficult to really get the truck to stay under control.
Once you get about 15-20 laps on it, these trucks get really loose at this track. The tires just wear so much, so there's a lot of tire management going into this.
Taurus right now still watching his boy in the 2 right now, just kind of staying level and staying level-headed, but the other way K is coming around these corners. Ooh, not quite the way he was hoping for there. May have followed the 55 a little bit up in that wall protection, and both guys giving a little nudge there. Guy has yet to give up any speed. He's still getting a good run, but that's a troublesome spot out for. Big opening there.
He's blocking him.
That's a very defensive move there. Dye knew he had to literally hold that thing online. He's running out of laps. He's running out of time. And I think he's running out of tire while he's at it. Turn 4 nearly sending the Slim Jim 15 to the shadow realm there. But Ellison able to hold it back and keep himself under control. The pressure is on though, Eric. It's getting tense out here.
Yeah, Paul's keeping within reach. He's if Ryan makes one more slip up, Paul's going to jump on it.
He can't make any more mistakes. He's just got to stay controlled, and in rare nations, he's got to make sure that truck stays as straight as possible. He's going to have to really pull a Katniss Everdeen and just throw a perfect shot with the arrow into the heart of the track.
Paul's also got to keep in mind John Kay running in 3rd there. Paul makes a bad mistake, John's going to pounce on him.
If you're literally that 55 right now, do you feel like probably you're the one that's in the worst predicament? You're having to worry about Dye not losing in the corner and taking you out. Meanwhile, you're also having to worry about a guy that's first been kind of laying back low for a little while, but also knows he's coming for you too.
Looks like John's starting to put a little bit of pressure on him now.
Oh, he's got to put more than pressure on him. Looked like he was going to send it to the dive bomb scenario, but doesn't test the waters just yet, like you said earlier. Stays within reach, but doesn't go for it yet. We're down to the final 10 laps here in the hotter and held 375. Everybody else right now currently separating themselves out by a good margin of error or 2 here, and drivers just at this point I think just kind of trying to limp some of their trucks across the finish line here. Not what we usually see from you guys in the Venom Truck Series. The Texas just kind of make things a little bit more difficult for you guys out here.
Yeah, Texas is a tough track. You got two completely different corners. 1 and 2's more flat. 3 and 4, you can run it wide open almost the first several laps. So you have to really think and keep in mind which turn you're going into on how you're going to attack it. It's both turns are not the same.
Speaking about the same here, Brandon Gainey Jr. and Pascal Smart Pace, your guy you were rooting on a little bit. Both were really dead even with each other there. Brandon Gainey, though, did not get the run on the bottom lane out of 3 and 4. I got to believe that's just due to the fact that he may have tore up a little bit more of his tire than Smart Pace has. But it seems like once he kind of locks it up there with down into the corner, he's actually able to keep it right there with the 76.
Yeah, Gainey's really getting pressure on him there. I think he's probably going to get him here. Looks like he's got better tires.
Well, we said that earlier on, but unfortunately, he didn't quite get him when he was coming off of 3 and 4, and Samar was able to hold him down. If he's going to make a move, he's going to have to do it quicker rather than later, and Samar is defending here. Here comes the block down at 3.
He's got him now.
He's got a run down on the inside. Samar trying to hold him back again. He's going to hold him for a little bit, but he's not going to be able to keep the corner there this time. And Gainey Jr. will take down the Simard Pace Camp, moving him down to the 8th. Simard is now going to have to find a way to get back at him here.
I tell you, it looks like Pascal was having some handling issues, and if you get on the inside in 3 and 4, and the car on the outside is having handling issues, you're going to get by him every time.
Get by him every time, and he did indeed there, Eric. Well, now, the last bit of our race, though, is coming to a full conclusion with 6 laps left to go. You're starting to see Dye and Allison kind of separating their factors out a little bit. Ellison, though, in my opinion right now, this is not where he wants to be. He needs to get it a little bit closer up to that 15, keep the pressure on him, and hope for a mistake. This is not where he wants to be. It looks like he's actually listening to the boot because he's coming closer and closer to putting a real bumper or two right near that 15.
He's going to make a last-ditch run right here. He's going to use up everything he's got in that truck, and you can bet Ryan's using up everything he's got to keep him behind him.
It's his last chance. If he doesn't get it figured out now, this is going to end up costing him later. He's very well aware of that. 5 laps to go. Dye is now look like he's starting to kick on a few more turbochargers. He's not giving an inch to the red Diamond 55.
He's going to make a charge. He's going to have to start soon because he's running out of laps.
I think he's running out of laps. I think he's also running out of tires. This is not looking good, and you can see just off turn 2, the speed is starting to sway towards Dye's camp. Maybe the dirty arrow is starting to be a big factor, more than I think Ellison even realizes here. Dye is keeping them both in proper working order and proper working terms to what he wants to see. This is exactly what I was talking about earlier. If he can, with that defensive maneuvering and being able to hold him back, he makes it a lot harder for him to make that pass. And really, the only way to get around at that point is to start using a few clips and bumpers to get them a little bit more loose or a little bit more out of shape. But as drivers, it's kind of hard to resort to that, isn't it, for you guys?
Yeah, it sure is. It looks like they're coming up on a lap car here in Corey. That may come into play here in the last lap or two.
It could come into play as well, big time here, because we saw what happened in lap traffic earlier, slowing some of these guys down and making it a lot more difficult to work around. We're coming closer to the edge, though, and to the end of the glory here. 2 laps left.
Well, it looks like Kay is kind of faded out. It's going to be a 2-truck race here.
Okay, it's faded out. Ellison getting about 100 of a second each time around off the turns and the corners. Ellison's going to have to kick into hyperdrive because we are coming to the white flag for the Hot and Hell 375. 1 more to go. Ellison's rolling up to him, though, but off 1 and 2. This is not the corner that Ellison's been getting help from. Kay and Dye taking full control of that, well aware of it. Down the back straightaway one more time. Dye's going to try to keep the Slim Jim 15 locked to the bottom. Woos it off the corner. Ellison trying to catch him, but it's not to be. Ryan Dye off of turn number 4 will hold off Ellison to victory lane.
Paul gave it everything he can give there in that last 3 and 4. That was a good race.
A good race indeed, and a very strong effort, but unfortunately, that will go down here for another victory in the Ryan Dye chapter. He will be your Hotter in Hell 375 winner here at Texas Speedway, and definitely one that I think he'll remember for a while for all the hard charging and fighting he had to do just to hold Ellison off from taking this one from him.
I'm happy for Ryan. He's had a lot of second place finishes. He's finally got him a win to go with that. It's going to extend his points lead.
Extend his points lead and continue to get better and better as the time goes on. Dye still looking to claim the elusive season championship. Knocking this one off the hat and off the books, though, will certainly help his case. What a victory for the 15 Slim Jim Ford F-150.
And I tell you, for the fans out there listening, I don't know if they've ever noticed this, a part of RNS and Billy Bad Butt racing, whenever one of our team members win, we all celebrate with them.
Well, I'd certainly say probably going to have a celebration quite well tonight. There's the team, there's the group back there ready to come out here and do a little celebration with the 15.
Paul's out there to help him celebrate too. That's what a good guy Paul is. He's a real good sport.
Definitely indeed there. He definitely gave it his heart and gave it his soul. Just a little bit short tonight. But I don't think we'll have to wait too long for him to get back into victory lane. But for now, anyway, here is our Hotter in Hell 375 race results. Ryan Dye, your winner here today here, and Paul Ellison come away second. John K. pulls the number third spot out of the hat. Fourth to Chad Stearns here. Fifth going to Will Salamone. Sixth to Paul Sargent. Seventh to Brantley Gainey Jr. 8th to Pascal Smart Pace. 9th to Corey Rutherford. 10th going to Josh Maxwell. That will round out the top 10 in this one here. And talk about a long, long road some of these drivers went through, and some were kind of forced into due to the elusive troubles that came from the headaches of crashing and the headaches of those cautions that really kind of hurt their run and hurt the momentum. But nevertheless, the time has come, race fans. It's time to listen in to our drivers here. The top 3 now join me here. Coming away in the third spot today is John K. in the number 2. And John, congratulations on that one here. You had a lot going for broke, going for big here. And, you know, you had seemingly a good run there about 3/4 in. But this last half, it did not look like it was going the same way you were hoping for, did it?
Yeah, I started struggling a little bit in the back half of the race, just missing in 1 and 2. I started getting it there in the last, I don't know, 30 laps or so. I found my line again, but yeah, man, it was tricky. It was really slick, and it was a lot to hang on to. I'm sure the TV saw both sides of just about every truck out there tonight.
Yeah, it definitely was a bit of a wild little get there for you earlier on. You get kind of pushed back a little bit, then things get a little bit more ramped up. And really, for you in this 2 camp here, does this endurance race kind of really speak to you in the way that maybe you can go a little bit further for that season title holder?
Yeah, I mean, Ryan's so good, especially when it comes to points racing. He doesn't make mistakes, which I tend to do. I made some early mistakes this season, and they're coming back to haunt me a little bit. But you know, I think looking back at my first season in Venom to now, it's man, it's been such a crazy ride. And to be second in points and know that, you know, next year, if everything goes right, if I'm able to make all the races, you know, I could be fighting for a championship. That's pretty cool. And I think that's huge. I gotta shout out my teammates for they tell me every week that I've got the ability, and that's Ryan and Nathan Reynolds and Eric Breeding, Garrett Rainey, all those guys. They're a huge part to my success.
They surely are indeed. But anybody else you want to thank for this third place today, sir?
Yeah, I want to thank my mom. She puts up with a lot of crap. My room's right next to the living room, so she hears me yelling and screaming all the time. And yeah, I just want to shout out the guys once again and all the people that watch this and watch us do this on Tuesday nights. Y'all are awesome. And yeah, thanks to you for doing this. it's pretty incredible from where we were last year at this race to now being broadcasted, and man, it's incredible.
For sure
Hey,
there.
JK.
Yes, Mr. Breeding.
Hey, with about 15 to go there, and you saw Ryan and Paul in front of you battling out, how much of you kind of wish they'd got together a little bit there going into 1 and 2?
Oh, all of me wishes they'd gotten together. We kind of stretched it out from Chad Stearns, and I believe that was William Salem behind us. And I'm an opportunistic person. I'm glad they didn't get together because I love Paul and Ryan to death. Those are my guys. But if they had gotten together and I'd slipped through, I wouldn't have been mad. That's for sure. It's been a whole season since I've won a race, and I've thrown a couple away this season, so it would have been nice to get one. But there's always next week.
Well, you was in the hunt, sure, that's for sure.
John, congratulations again on the third place finish today, man. Thanks for your time, and we'll hope to see you next time out, buddy.
Absolutely, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, your third place finisher today in the number 2, John K. in the F-150 camp. In your Toyota Tundra camp, though, in the 55 Red Diamond 55s, Paul Ellison joins us in now. And Paul, so far, so close, so often than not, man, what a drive, though. You put up a heck of a performance, and you could say it was hotter than hell out there, just what you were doing there.
Yeah, that was a blast. I really enjoy running with Ryan and John. They're two of my favorite people in this league, and that whole race was a blast running against them.
It certainly was indeed, and with Dye, he actually was kind of putting the boots to you a little bit there when it came to trying to make that corner pass, kind of make that corner dive off into the turns. But it seemed like at the same time you were kind of setting him back up for that, as well as maybe setting him up for the final legs of this race. Were you kind of hoping that he burnt the tires up just a little bit more and things were a little bit worse for him there?
Yeah, I was doing my best to try to make him sell it off in a 1 and 2 a little harder than he wanted to, but the aero push off the 2 was so bad that it just would eat up my run. But in 3 and 4, I was eating him alive, and I was trying to get right up against his bumper to get him loose. And I did it a couple times. He threw a good block on me, but I'm not gonna take him out. So he knew I wasn't gonna wreck him, so he went ahead and threw the block.
Yeah, he threw the block and ended up getting you kind of settled off into the distance and set you back to second place. But you know what, though? What a performance by you and this crew, and definitely got to be pretty happy about that. So with that said, I mean, who do you want to thank here for the second place finish, sir?
I just got to thank CJR Graphics for the paint scheme. Got to thank, oh crap, my brain, you for doing the broadcast. Say what's up to my dad and stepmom, Victor, and Ziddle for this team. This is a lot of fun. So there you go.
Certainly is indeed. Ellison, man, congratulations on the second place finish. We certainly hope to see you soon enough here, sir.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, second place finisher today, Paul Ellison will take home that second spot. But the man that does not come home second, no more bridesmaid for him. He's taking the win today. Ryan Dye, your hotter than hell 375 race winner. And Dye, judging by how you hopped out of that truck and you were literally having taking a few breaths of air, I think you're glad to get out of that thing and maybe breathe a little bit after that hard race.
I don't think I took a breath from the restart until the end of that race. That was some of the most fun. I know I say I have fun every week, but like that was amazing. The battle there with Paul on that restart to get the lead back from him, and then my rear tires are gone. I think my right rear tires at 57% on a 30-lap run, which is crazy. But I knew 30 laps and hoped there wasn't a caution where I knew Paul had another set of tires. So I drove it like hell, and it stuck except for that one time that I had to throw a block. But if it would have been anybody but Paul, I might not have thrown the block. But I trust him that we weren't going to wreck going into 1.
Speaking of that, going into 1 and going into 4, of course, here, things got pretty wild there as well for you in this crew. You had a few spots there where it looked like you were going to absolutely lose in the turn. How tore up was that truck there just trying to make the final legs of this race?
I'll be excited to go back and watch my my webcam from the recording from tonight, because I was turning right almost as much as I was turning left. I mean, all night, but really on that last run, there were times when I would have to steer back towards the right 2 or 3 times in the middle of a turn to make sure it didn't loop it. So that was fun. Some of the hardest racing I think I've ever done to get that. excited to have my second win of the season for the first time in my career, and excited to finally win at Texas. I've been so close here in the past.
You've been so close, and you've been so close many times in the season before. And with this race win here today, finally getting another one knocked off the list, is there anybody you want to thank for this victory?
I thank my teammates. Thank you for broadcasting it. PTM Racing, we love you guys. Thank Paul for the amazing race and for being the amazing person he is and not wrecking me. And thank everybody. I'm in a good mood. I thank everybody for watching and or driving or whatever it takes to put all this on. It's a blessing.
It's a blessing, and it's a fun time to be alive. Well, Di, congratulations on this one, man. Well earned and deserved.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, your race winner of the Hotter Than Hell 375. Give it up for Ryan Dye, the 15 Slim Jim Ford F-150, taking it home. Breeding, what a day, what a night, sir. And that kind of wraps it up here on Pizza Race TV for the night.
Yeah, it was fun being in here with you. I wish I could have been in the race all night. That would have been a whole lot better, but hey, I had fun getting in here. I got bored. I jumped out for a little while and I started watching your broadcast. And I said, I'm going to jump in there and see how Old Christian's doing tonight. So really fun time. Can't wait till next week. Hopefully I'll get me a top 5 or a top 10. That's really what I'm shooting for this season. And hopefully you can call me to a win or something like that.
Hey, all you gotta do is just get that truck out there and go full send, and eventually I'll get call you to a win there, my friend. But nevertheless, really appreciate you coming on board, giving some intel from the drivers as well as from how things are going here. Thanks so much for coming out here tonight, man.
No problem.
And thank you all race fans for tuning on in here to Pizza Race TV. We sign off here from Fort Worth, Texas with this. Thank you so much. We'll see you guys next time where the green flies high.